All right. All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it. Let's do it. Okay. Well, first, a quick review of everything that we went over. Before we talked about just like Python, installing Python, and all those things. And so today we're going to start writing the code. But I think it's good that we do a quick review, and we're also going to talk a little bit about JSON files, or basically the information that Magic Eden is going to give us, so that we can start to write our program. And and so one of the things that we talked about was an if then else statement. This is crucial to every programming language that has existed thus far. If something is true, do this. If it's not true, do that. That's the basic simplest of it. We learned a little bit last time just about how Python kind of structures their stuff. So you can see here we've got an if, then we have a colon at the end, and then the next line is indented, which means it's subjugated, or I guess like part of this if statement. So if do this, but then it goes back to the left justification for else, and then it goes back in for do that. You'll see that a little bit more in our code. We've got our conditional operators, so equal, does not equal, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. And there are a few others, but those are really the only ones that we're interested in for what we're doing tonight. We've got different variables, and so this is like how we store values, and we'll be doing that. Like we'll be storing the price of things, we'll be storing the token address, like the Solana token address that you have for each of your NFTs. We'll be storing that in various things and things like that. So the types that we're looking at is an integer, which is like a whole number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something non-decimal essentially is an integer. A float, which is something with an integer, so it's got a whole bunch of numbers and it can store a lot more information in that. So that could be, 1,084,000,000 point, 0017832, whatever. You get the idea. It can be very, very finite. We'll be using floats a lot, especially for our pricing, right? Because like 6.5, for instance, we need to use a float. And then a string, and we talked about this as like a string of characters, and I think the best way to think about that is having like those happy birthday signs that are on a string, and like that somebody might make, and you have that in your house and you hang it from a doorway where it's got HAPPY and they're all strung together on a string. Think of it that way. So when we put characters together, we put them in. They can be characters, they could be like punctuation, they could be spaces, they could be numbers, but all of that, if it's on that string, it is considered a string in that way. We had a couple of loops. The first one was the while loop. This one was pretty simple. This is probably the simplest loop. It's while something is true, do all of these things. So while x equals 1, do all of these things. And here we had a simple way of counting. So we started with while x equal or is less than or equal to 5, print whatever the value of x is. And then we change the value of x so that it kind of counts through x. So x equals x plus 1, which ends up being, so if we start with x at 0, then x means 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we see that. The output on the window is it's going to print 0, then it'll print 1, then it'll print 2, 3, 4, 5. You get the idea. When we get into arrays, these are collections of variables. So it could be a collection of strings, it could be a collection of floats, it could be a collection of integers. Up here we see a collection of integers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we show a way in which we can add another one. And so we're kind of saying, hey, by the way, x, don't change what x is. X is an array. I want to leave it as an array, but I want you to add one more value, and that is 5. So that's the way we're going to do that. The way we're going to see this in our code is we're going to be storing the token addresses. So, and those are like a huge string of characters, and we're going to store those because we don't want to look at them more than once, so we're going to store those away. And then this is basically, we used a for loop here. And that for loop is a different type of loop, but we can kind of like, here's an array, it has a whole bunch of things, count through all of those things, and then print me what those things are. And so we said, count through all those things. We'll say that those things, each of one of those things is y for every time you count through it, print y. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And every time it counts through, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. JSON, not Jason. He's a jerk. So yeah. JSON files. These are easy to access information things. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. They these are the API files that are going to be sent to you. It's just a standardized format that multiple different programming languages can read and interpret. It's just a way of storing information and sending it to somebody quickly. And it doesn't take long. Like, it doesn't have a lot of extraneous information in there. It's just formatted in such a way that everybody's kind of agreed this is a good way to pass information. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And
Just like a file of data.
yeah,
File
exactly.
whatever
Exactly.
data you're looking for, whether it be price data or the type of NFT, that's exactly what it is.
Yepers. And so this one in particular, this is something that Magic Eden would send you actually, and you can see like it's here's the first iteration of it. So it's an array, like it's got that little square bracket there. You can see it's got two different things it's going to send. Here's the token mint address. It's that. Here's the buyer. That's their wallet. The last person who bought that. The buyer referral doesn't have any information. Token size 1. Every NFT that we're probably dealing with has a token size of 1 because they're all non-fungible tokens. Fungible tokens might have a token size of 1 billion or whatever it might be. And then it shows the price of it and then the expiry. So this is kind of a list of like of financial transactions on the ledger. So there might be an expiry for like if somebody bids something and said, I want to bid, 4 SOL for this NFT, but it's going to expire in a month. So that's where they would put that in there and stuff like that. And anyways, that doesn't matter. We'll look at the actual JSON file that we're going to mess around with a little bit. But it is time to start coding. And so at this point, I got to close the presentation. We'll do that. And we would open up our Visual Studio Code. By this time, we've already added our extensions with Python, got those all installed. And we just need to do a new text file. And what I always suggest, right, we always save it right away. I'll save this one as class example and save it at the end with a py. This just indicates that it's a Python file and it lets Visual Studio Code start to format things and help you. It says, oh, it's a Python. I know how to deal with Python. So the first thing that we're going to do actually is instead of just this, I could do it right on here, but it's just easier to do it on a notepad. I like to plan out all of the things that we want our program to do before I actually start writing the code. This helps me get focused and know what step I'm on and not get confused like, oh, do that or do this or do that. Just in everyday plain language, figure out what it is we want to do and then just step by step knock those things off. And so with this particular program that we're wanting to run, the whole idea of it is we want it to basically scrape the information from Magic Eden of a particular collection and then open a web browser for ones that meet certain criteria. So that's basically our simple program. That's all we really want it to do. So we're going to break it down into some steps. Like if we were to say, go wash the dishes, you know that there's certain steps, right? Like you first have to turn on the faucet. You have to fill the sink with water. You have to, put your dishes in void, put soap in the water. You have to all of those little tiny steps. So I want to break it down into the steps that this program needs to do. And then I'll go in and write the code to get it to do it. So for this particular one, the first thing that we're starting off with is we want to know, determine which collection. So we want to know which collection or which set of NFTs we want to look at. We also want to know basically how many recent listings do we want. So we want to know how many recent listings. Like, are we going to look at the last 20 recent listings, the last 50, or the last 5? And I would say in our particular case, the last 5 makes sense. For most NFT collections, you're not seeing things listed, not more than 5 per couple of minutes or so. I mean, I guess when they first mint, like there's always that big, huge influx for that first day. So you may want to increase it during that time. But for the most part, 5 is just fine. You'll catch the one that's getting put up right quick. So those are some of the things that we want to know. So to determine a collection, we could pick, I don't know, Don, give me a collection. Which one should we look at? Should we look at the degenerate apes? Is that what you look for?
Let's look at the trash pandas.
Oh, the degenerate trash pandas. Okay, trash
Trash pandas.
pandas. Okay, so that'll be the collection that we're going to look for. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to, so step 1 will be get the recent listings of trash pandas. Pretty much, we're going to go through it. Then we want to, I don't need a 1 there. I'll just do this. And then we want to, under that, we want to iterate. So we kind of want to count through each of those recent listings. So iterate through the recent listings. So basically say if we get the last 5 recent listings, we want to look at the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one, then the fifth one. And so every time we iterate through them, what do we want to do? Well, we want to check if the price is less than our price goal, I guess. Right? So whatever we want to say, like, is we want to be notified when the trash pandas are less than 5 sol. And as we're writing this, I'm realizing, well, we don't know what our price goal is. And we'll say 5 sol. For trash pandas, that seems to make sense. Check if our price is less than our price goal. And if it is, open a web browser to purchase the NFT. Now, one of the things that we also should think about in the way that this is going to function is we want to add a couple of more things to make it a little bit faster. So one of the things we're going to say is we're going to iterate through all the listings, but if we've already checked it, so let's say we're looking at the trash pandas every couple of minutes and nothing has changed in 2 minutes. We don't want to keep looking at the same 5 over and over and over again. And the reason why we don't, like, we want to basically say, hey, have we looked at these 5? And if we haven't, then check the price. That's basically what we want it to do. And the reason why we want to do that is because what we can run into is that, let's say one does trigger. One does, and it opens up a web browser. But then what if another one? What if you weren't there for 2 minutes? Or you went to the bathroom and you come back? You're going to have 10 web browser windows open, all for the same NFT because it triggered every single time. And we want to stop that, in part because we don't need to count through all that, but it's needless checking and needless web browser opening. It's going to slow our computer down. It's going to slow the program down. We don't want to do any of that. So we want to add a little check here. We'll say, check if we've seen this token before. And then we'll say, if we have not, then do these things. And then at the end of that, we want to, after we've checked through, done the check on that token, we want to, if we have not seen that token before, then at the end of it, we want to open the web browser and we want to, if we have not, we also want to add it to the ones we've seen. So that way we're not going to check it next time in 2 minutes when we go through. It's just going to skip right through it. So if we can accomplish all of these steps, we'll have our program completed. So I'm going to use these as kind of our reference when we're building something. And so the first thing that we want to do is we're going to start by going into our program. And we're going to start by setting some of our variables, right? So we had collection as a variable. We're going to click collection equals, and we said degenerate trash pandas. But I don't want to just write it like this, but instead I want to use this as a variable to send Magic Eden. And we want to tell Magic Eden, this is the collection that I want to receive. And so what we do is I'm going to go into the Magic Eden marketplace here. Let me bring it up. I'll look up degenerate trash pandas here. And that'll bring that up. I bring it up, and you'll see on the top URL, it says magiceden.io/marketplace/degenerate trash pandas with underscores. So that's the variable that Magic Eden uses for this collection set. And that's actually what we want to use, because when we talk to Magic Eden, this is what they want to know. When we say, hey, we want to see the recent listings in a collection, we want to send it this thing. And that's what we grab. So we grab that. So I've copied that. And then I'll go back over to here. And I'm going to change this to be a string and just put that straight there. Collection equals degenerate trash pandas. Awesome. Okay. The next thing that we wanted from our thing, of our set, was how many listings do we want? So we'll just do number, of listings. Now you'll notice that I used underscores here. because when you're naming variables, it has to be a solid string. You can't have a space inside the naming of the variable. You can have spaces inside strings, but you can't have it as the name of a variable. So number of listings we're going to look at is 5. The next thing we want to do is our price goal. So we'll say price, yeah, just price goal is fine. Price goal, we'll say 5.0. So we want to make sure that it's either 5 or under kind of deal. So we've got our 3 variables. So we've already finished the 3 things of our code right here. So we've got those done. Now we want to get the recent listings of trash pandas. So the way that we do this is we're actually going to go back to Magic Eden. And in their menu bar on the left-hand side, we're going to go scroll all the way down to Resources, and you'll see API. This is going to send us to a site that's going to give us all the information that we need. It's going to seem very confusing at first, but we'll figure it out as we go. On the left-hand side, there's different things that they're going to be able to give us. So we can get information about a single token, which we don't necessarily want for this program. We can get information about wallets. So we could see what wallets are on Magic Eden. We could have Magic Eden look through people's wallets for us. It's all in the blockchain. The other thing is collections, and we want to know about collections, and we do. So that's really the one we're looking for. So I'm going to click on that one, and it's going to bring us down to a window here. And you can see there's different things. So get information about collections. So there's get collections, there's collections symbol / listings, and there's a whole bunch of information about various collections that we could go and get. On the right hand side, you're going to see kind of the type of information that you're going to get. So if I looked at collections, this shows us all of the collections that are on Magic Eden. And it's not something we want because we want to find a specific collection, but here's an example of what we might see, right? Cosmic 2, Test LP2, Test LP1, etc. That's not the one we want. What we're looking for is the most recent listings. So collections, symbol, like colon symbol. So they basically, what they're asking for is degenerate _ trash _ pandas / listings. That's what they're looking for. And so what we're going to do is, first off, one of the things they've done is they've made this their DevNet, so they don't really have the live information available in there. How do I say this? It is available for everybody to use. They're just not telling you what it is, and they're not updating the information. And the reason why they're not doing that is because they don't have time for it. They've got other things to worry about, and they offer API on a kindness basis, but they're not going to support it. They're not going to help you with it. Well, they might if you asked really, really nicely. But so what we're going to do for now is we are going to copy all of this. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go back to my notepad just for a second here so I can dissect it here a little easier. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change DevNet to mainnet so I actually get live information from Magic Eden. I'm also going to add http:// basically just to give it the full URL to make sure that it works. And then I can copy this, take that out, and I'll go back over to here. So I'm going to want to add, I'll say URL equals, and I'll copy all of that there. But one of the things is wrong is that I need to change the symbol here to degenerate trash pandas. So that'll give me 20 listings of the trash, not the trans, trash. That's a different collection.
It's a different collection.
We should have that collection and see if the derivative will work.
Exactly.
Degenerate trash.
Surprised nobody's thought of that yet.
Yeah.
It's a golden idea. I'm gonna take that to pit.
Yeah, we're gonna write that down. Okay, sweet. But one of the things, if we look at here, right? Like I could have this, and this would be fine. But I kind of want it to be this variable, and the reason why I want it to be the variable is because that way I only have to change the variable, and it'll change everything throughout the code. So I only have to change it once. I don't like if I use like several URLs and they all use that same collection, listing tag. I want to make sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of that, and I'm going to put a colon there, And then I'm going to put a plus sign, collection, plus sign, colon. So what that is I'm basically, here's the first part of the string, and then I'm saying add this string, and then add this string together. And thus I have my full URL. So if I go print URL, just so we can see it at the bottom, so we can check to see if it worked, goes down to the bottom, loads, and it prints the URL that we want. And to test it, what we can do here is I'm pushing down my control button, and it turns it into a hand so I can actually click the link. I'll click the link, and I think it will open. You can see here, this is the JSON file that we were looking for. So this is the live information about the degenerate trash pandas. One of the things that I will look for too is let's just grab it all. Grab it all. And then I'll go back to my code. I'm going to open up a new file just so I can paste it in here. I also have something, I talked about extensions to add in. I had add in an extension called Prettify JSON. This one right here, so good. Because when I paste something like this in here, where it's just one long string, I can actually go to, which one is it? Command palette, view command palette. And then Prettify JSON will go right here. I'll click it. It does a little bit of weird things, but if I double click, then you can see now it kind of lays it out a lot neater and cleaner, which is much better. And you can see these are the things that it has given me. So if I were to call that into my code, these are the things that it would show. You can see there's the PDA address. This is the token address. This is one of the ones we're going to need because we want to know what's the token address of something. We want to know what the price is. So we've got R2 information right there. That's really all we need. But incidentally, it does have other things like the moon rank. So this is from the moonrank.app site. If they were connected to How Rare, the How Rare site would go up there. They have a whole bunch of information that you can pull out of here that you may or may not want eventually. But yeah, so that's what it is. I wonder if this is the
The
heart.
trait data?
Yes, the trait data. If you go into the actual token address, and if we go over to, well, see, the image is there. But if we went to Magic Eden and we went all the way up to the tokens, and then let's go down to tokens. Which one? Token. Yeah, I just want to see this one here. So I'll put that in, and then I make that mainnet. And I need that specific token ID. So if I went back to my code, grab this token address, and put that in here, this one here, put that at the end, it would not work. Of course it wouldn't work. Why would it work? Something went wrong. So I have something wrong with the token. Is it the? Did I do the token address? Oh, I need the token mint. That's what it is. I need the mint address, not the token address. There. That'll work. Magic Eden is slow. It'll eventually load. But yeah, that will end up giving us all of the trait information for that particular thing as well. So when we start to build into like looking for trait data, which is in Bots Machina 103, that's something we will be doing. So we'll pull up like the recent listings, then we'll pull up the specific information for that token. We'll see if the trait that we're looking for exists within that token and the price meets that token price that we are looking for. Then we'll pull it up. But that's a little more on the complex side, but you can see this one's got the mouth, value, no traits. Trait type glasses, value, designer glasses. And its trait type head is a colander, and trait type for blah, blah, blah. Get the idea. Yeah. So we can get a lot of information from a lot of these things. The next thing that we want to do is up here on Magic Eden, I use, so I changed the language. Where's my Python? Where's Python? It's in here somewhere. There we go. Python, I'll do Python requests. And I can literally just, like if I go down to collections, what I'm looking for, collection symbol listings, it actually puts all of the code here for me already. So I can legit just copy this and then go to my code. I can go down here. I can paste it straight in. I've already got my URL, which is going to be a little bit different than this one. So I'll just put that there and delete that one. And so now if I run this, you can see it's goes to Magic Eden, it grabs all of those listings, and it printed all of that stuff that we had on our screen. So at that point, we know that we're getting exactly what we needed. So we go back to our program. We say, okay, get the recent listings of trash pandas. Done. Okay, but there's a problem, and I know this is one of the things I had mentioned in 101 that Magic Eden is always going to be in beta, and this is the reason why. So if I look here, and so this is giving us the 20 listings, and I look at the token address, or sorry, the token mint address. I'm going to take this one here. So there's the token mint address. That's the first listing we get. I've copied that into my clipboard. I go back to Magic Eden, and if I open up, so I'm going to post the magiceden.io/item-details, and I'll put that mint address right here, and I'll put that one up there. So this is the first NFT that our program went and got for us, is this one. It's a wonderful looking trash panda marked at 20 Sol. So if I go back to the trash pandas here, and we look at the most recent listings, we will not see that NFT. And the reason for that is because we can see the total listed count is 932. It's actually showing us first the oldest listing. So if we went all the way to the end of 932 different, I mean, it's going to take forever, so I'm not going to bother. But you get the idea. If we get all the way to the end of the recent listings, that's the one we would see. So it's giving us listing number 1 through 20, when we want listings number 927 to 932. So we've got a little bit of math, and we have to change things a little bit before we can start there. So that means our programs aren't, because we can't just get the recent listings. We need to do something else with that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to then figure out, well, we need to know how many listings there are in this collection. So we need to find that information out. And then we need to subtract the, the number of listings we want from the total number of listings. And then we want to get those 5 listings from Magic Eden. So we've got a few more steps. And this is how programming kind of works. It says, okay, I wanted to do this. This was my goal. This is what I was attempting to do. And then I've run into a hiccup. It's not giving me the information I want. So I kind of have to change things around a bit to make it do what I want it to do. So we've got a few more steps that we need to do. So before we get this, we actually need to understand what our URL is giving us. So in this particular case, we're going to want to offset it by 927 and then give us a limit of 5. Well, we know what our limit is, number of listings up here, so I might as well just do this and say plus num of listings. But we also want to do this offset here. And that offset is going to be the total number of listings minus our number of listings. And I'm going to put that in brackets just to make it a little more clear. Then I need to find the total number of listings. So we know it currently equals 927, but that's not going to always be true. Somebody's going to list one, somebody's going to buy one, and that number will change. So we have to dynamically get that number and then feed it into the rest of this collection. So by getting the total, the total number of listings should be 932, actually. So to get the total number of listings, we go back to Magic Eden, we go back to their APIs, we go all the way back to collections. We scroll down to find the one that's going to give us the statistics of a particular collection. So you can see we've got the listings of a collection, we've got the activities of a collection, so that's like, Did somebody list something? Did somebody buy something? Did somebody bid on something? Did somebody sell something, etc.? This is the one we're looking for, which is stats. And you can see here what we're going to get. One of the variables is a listed count. That's exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and copy that. Copy that into our buffer. Back over here. And we're going to set our URL to it. Of course, we're going to adjust it. We're going to make sure it goes the right way. Make sure it goes to the main net, not the dev net. And then we're going to get our symbol out of here because we need it to be our collection symbol. Another plus sign there. And that's going to give us, I can actually put import request right at the top just for ease at that point. I can just highlight all of these things and I'll click paste right there. And so what, well, I can only print the one. So what this is going to do is I'm going to go input, this is the URL I sent it, and I'm going to go off to go and get from Magic Eden, and I want you to print that to the screen for me, just so we can check it, because we always want to check our work and make sure we're getting the right information. So I'll often do print places just to see what actually is the data I'm getting. Is this the right data? Do I need to change it? Did I make a mistake? Is there a typo? All those questions. So I'll click go. I'll scroll down, and look, there is a problem. So if it looks here, it says here, type error can only concatenate, so that's like adding together, strings, not an integer. And so I think that's over here. So for now, just for ease, we'll fix that error later. I'm just going to comment that all out, and then I'll click go. And so it showed us symbol, degenerate trash pandas. The floor price is blah, 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 blah. It's actually 5.8. You have to divide it by, I think, 10 billion or 100 or 1 billion. I think you have to divide it by 1 billion to get the number. I don't know why Magic Eden stores the data that way. Then it says the listed count, 930. So it's already changed. There's been 2 purchases since we looked at it last. It's already changed. This is why we want to get the up-to-the-date information right away. And so what we do is we say, okay, we want to look at the listed count. And so what I want to do then is there's a few things that I want to go and grab. The first thing that I want to do is I want to make our data. So I'm going to make a variable. And I'm going to say data equals a decoded JSON. We're going to, or is it JSON decode? It's JSON decode. That's why it's doing that. JSON decode. And then we're going to do, we want to do response.text. So what we want to do is we want to decode that thing, because we know it's a JSON file. We're saying, hey, by the way, it's a JSON. Can you decode it for me so that you can interpret the data? But one of the things is that it doesn't know. It's got this little yellow line there. It doesn't know what we're looking for. Like it says, I don't know what this is. Can you tell me what this is? And what it is it's one of those like car radios that we need to import first. And it's called import JSON. You don't necessarily have to do this because when it's got the yellow line and squiggles underneath with VS Code, if I just click go, it's going to actually import. Oh, it didn't import that for me. Maybe I did it wrong, but we'll see. Hang on. Let me make sure I'm checking my work right. Yep, import JSON. Yep, that's the one. And let's see here. Is it? Go here. Add JSON, import JSON decoder. Oh, okay. That's what it's going to do. But why is it not doing that? Once again, there's just so much. Oh, that's why. I'm doing it wrong. Okay. I'm thinking of a different language entirely. So ignore what I had said there. That's why. This happens all the time. I got to do JSON dot loads. I got to load that text into a JSON file so that it says, okay, here's the string, here's the characters, here's the text file that you get. Make this a JSON file so that we can better understand that. And then instead of printing the entire thing, we're going to print, and we're going to do something called data, and then we're going to do square brackets. Because what we're saying is when we open up, like if I can look here, where did it print? Right here where I'm highlighting. You can see it's got symbol, floor price, listed count, average price, and volume all. The one that we want from there is listed count. Make sure the C is capitalized because it is case sensitive in all of those things. So we're going to say data, print, data, listed count. I need to do my brackets for print, and we should be good to go. So now when I do this, the way it's going to count through is it's going to go, it's going to get the URL, it's going to add the collection, so it's going to go to the Degenerate Trash Pandas. It's going to go to Magic Eden and say, hey, can you give me the information from this page? And it will. And then we're going to load that data into a JSON file. So we're saying, hey, by the way, program, this is a JSON file. And then we're going to say, from that JSON file, show me the listed count. And it should be 930. So now we know what that is. So what we can do now is we go back. We can take our total number of listings here, and we can say this one equals data listed count. So at this point now, we have that variable. We have our total number of listings, and we know that it's going to print right. So we've got the information that we needed. Now we want to keep going because we want to get the most recent listings. So we know this kind of worked. We know that we've got the total number of listings, so this will be 930. And our offset, so instead of like starting at 0 or 1 right at the beginning, we want to offset it by the total number minus 5. So total number minus the 5, and then give us 5. So it's going to give us the most recent 5 that are up there. And it's going to give us an error. We know this, and it's going to say, hey, I can't add an integer to a string. And so what we're doing here is that I've got these two numbers. We're subtracting these numbers. So the computer knows this is a number. This isn't working for me. So what we're going to do is we want to convert these numbers to a string so that it can add properly into it. I could just tell you what it is, but I think the best way is the coder's best friend, which is Google. And basically all we'll do is we'll say, okay, string concatenation Python. That's all we need. How do I add a string together in Python? That's not what I want to do. We know how to add strings together. What we want to do is convert integer to string in Python. That's what we want to do. And so we've got a whole bunch of like different things. Honestly, it says to convert integer to string to Python, use the str function. So basically, we take the str. We'll come down here. It's already conveniently in brackets for us. So I'll just do str, open bracket, close bracket, the integer that I have in there. And we click go. And it may still not work because this over here is also an integer. So do str, make sure it's inside brackets. So what we're doing is we're telling the program, hey, by the way, we want to turn this as a string, and we're going to send you this integer. We're going to send you this little piece, which is called num of listings. I need you to turn it into a string for me. And then it does, and then we'll be able to add it together. And that's where we'll get it to work. So it's showing us the last 5. We can kind of parse through the information quickly here. We can find our token mint address, which is right here. We're going to copy that. Oop, I didn't copy it. Because we want to check our work, right? We want to make sure that we're getting the right thing. So we're going to go back to Magic Eden once again. We'll click one of these. We're going to look up what information it sent us. It sent us a... Nope. It's loading again. Here we go. Sent us one with a... What is that hat? A paper bag. Okay.
It's the
G, yeah, it's the McDonald's
the
DGen.
McD, yeah.
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 Oh, this one has 6 hearts. I didn't know they went up to 6 hearts.
Yep.
I only found out what the hearts mean today. I had
Mhm.
no idea.
Mhm.
They're no longer relevant, but they're there.
Well, they will be whenever he builds the game.
Yeah,
Whenever Pitt builds the game.
if ever that happens.
Yeah. If ever, yeah.
But okay, so we want to go back to our to the whole listing. We want to make sure we see that one with the dynamite in his mouth in the first five, and there it is. It's right there. It's the fifth one. So we know we've got the first five ready to go. So it's all right. We are well on our way. That was probably the hardest part of the entire thing, is that we wanted to go and get the first five listings of Trash Pandas from that. Now, the next thing we want to do is now that we've got our five, we want to iterate through them. We want to count through those five. So we say, okay, so we'll go back down over here. We want to turn it into a JSON file again. So we'll say our data equals json.loads response.text. So now our data, over here, our data was the most recent listings, like the statistics of the collection. But we've changed it now. We've changed data to mean something else now. Now it means the most recent five listings. And we can do that. We can use the same variable name going through. I don't always recommend it. If it's a small enough program, you can kind of get away with it. But sometimes you want to have new names of things so you don't get lost, especially if you're editing things or whatever. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as the same. Data equals json.loads / response.text. So this is taking the information, making a JSON file, storing it in data, and now we can finally start to count through it. This is where we get into our loops. This is our first for loop. So we're going to do a for loop, and we need to, for everything, for each thing that is in this. So we're going to say for token. We'll use the name token because it's for each token that is in our data. We want to do something with it. We are now iterating. We're now counting through every single one of those tokens. And what was the next thing we wanted to do? We wanted to check if we've seen this token before. I'll hold off on that one. We'll go through this first. We'll check if the price is less than our price goal. So we'll say if token, and we got to look here. Maybe it's in. It'll be looking here. So we want to look. Price is what we're looking for. Okay. So we'll go back here and we'll say if the token price is less than or equal to our price goal, colon. That's got a new indentation for that. Colon. We want to open a web browser is what we want to do. But for now, we'll just say print success. And then we'll go from that. So we know that not all of them, we know that some of them are less than 7 and some of them are over 7. So we'll just use 7 as our example. Actually, we'll use 7.5. So I don't know in the five most recent if how many successes we're going to get. I have no idea. So I'll clear our screen here with Control L just so we can have a nice fresh screen. So it says 2 successes. So what that means is it's counted through the top 5, the most recent 5, and 2 of them are less than or equal to 7.5. So let's actually go look. 1, 2, and that's correct. So these are the 2 that it would have opened based on those criteria for us. So we're pretty much there at this point. Well, so let's get it to open a web browser. Might as well get that to do that. So this is really, really simple. Basically, we're going to want to import again, and we're going to go all the way up to the top. We're going to say we got a new car radio that we want to put in our car. I don't know how it works. I don't care how it works, but I just want it to work. So we're going to import a web browser. Then I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to do web browser dot open, and you can see one of the things about Visual Studio Code that's really nice is you can kind of see that it does a few things like, oh, you can open new, or you can open a new tab. You can do any of those things. So open is just general. It's kind of like whatever your computer is set as default. Open new would be open a new window or open a new tab. So I'm going to do open a new tab. If I just click it, it automatically fills it in there for me. And as I open up the brackets, it's actually going to ask for, I want a URL that's a string. Open the URL in a new page tab of the default browser. Perfect. So I want to open up, so I need the URL of that NFT. Now we were already playing with that a little bit. Like if I take this one here, you can see it says magiceden.io/item details, and then it gives you the mint address of that NFT. That's how they kind of isolate those things out. So if I go back here, we'll say open, new tab. So we're going to do https:// magiceden.io/item-details/ now we need our token mint address. So we can do plus token, and we have to figure out what that was called. Like, what did they call it in their JSON file? We can see here it's called token mint with a capital M. Remember, it's case sensitive. Token mint. There. I'll click save. Now, if I click go, it's going to print success twice in the window, and every time it does, it's going to open a web browser on my default page. So I'm going to delete that one for now. Delete, just kind of hide those, and we'll see if that works. So I'll click go. It's opened up 2 pages. Are they 7.5 or lower? 6.9.
Oh,
And there's our 5.8.
oh,
Pretty simple. So we're pretty much there. Now, one of the things we wanted to create, I don't need the successes anymore because we know it works. We wanted to create a variable of like NFTs that we've checked before. So we could say previously checked, for instance. And we'll set it to a blank array because we're going to be inserting each of these things, inserting each of these NFT token addresses in there. And we did say in our programming, check if it's open, if the price is less than or equal to our goal. Yep. If it is, open a web browser to purchase the NFT. We've done that. Now we need to add it to the ones that we have seen. Now we want to go back. We don't want it to be as part of this if statement. We actually want it to be part of the for statement. So we're going to remove one of the indentations, and we're going to say previously, oops, if I spell it right, previously checked. We're going to do the brackets there. We're going to say, I know this is an array. I need you to add a new thing to it. Say equals token, brackets, token mint. So add that mint address to this. And so every time it looks at a token, it's going to add it to that mint address. But the one thing that we wanted is we also wanted to see, is it in previously checked? So we're going to say if, basically, what is called, if we're going to say if not, so again, this is part of Python's language. How do I say like if not this? So I could say if this else that, or I could say if not this. And so not is the word that we're going to use. If not, the token mint, no, wait, it's token mint, right? Token mint. So basically the mint address of the token. So if the token mint address is in the previously checked, so if it's not in previously checked, then we want to do all of these things. Else, print already seen this one. Perfect. So now what we're doing is we're going to count through all the tokens. We're going to say if the token is not been previously checked, we're going to check the price of it. If the price is less than our price goal, we're going to open up a new window. And then, regardless if we open up a new window or not, we're going to add it to our previously checked because it's now been previously checked. And then if it wasn't, or if it wasn't previously checked, we're just going to print to the screen, already seen this one. So for now, I'm going to actually do a comment. So this is the hashtag for the web browser, just because it's going to distract us for now. And I'll say print open web browser as a way of us just seeing it down on this page as opposed to it actually opening the web browser every time we test our code. So I'll click this. So what this is going to do, it's probably going to show 2 open web browsers and none already seen this one. That's my guess. Nope, it's going to give me an error. Okay, previously checked is that equals token mint address. Why is that invalid syntax error? Let me look here. Oh, right. Again, I am doing things wrong from different languages. I do believe I need to append I think that's what I need to do. Yes. Not this. This would be in PHP, which is a web development language. Dot append. So I want to take the I want to take the mint. I want to take the array, which is previously checked. I want to append, which is like add to. For those of you that are, like, even those of us that are English language, append is not a normal word. So I want to append this to that array. Click save. Write that, and it's going to say open web browser twice and nothing else, because it's only going through it once. What I want to do is I want to go through a lot. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing, going to indent it because we're going to make a while loop. And we're going to do this indefinitely while 1 equals 1. So this is going to do this forever. But I kind of don't want it to do it so fast that it just gets out of control. So we're going to do something called time.sleep, and we're going to make it sleep for 2 seconds. So after it's looked through all of those tokens, it's going to sleep for 2 seconds before starting all over again, because 1 will always equal 1. And you'll see here I've got the yellow line underneath. It's because I have to import something up here. Import time. And then we should be good to go. Click save. So we're going to see it's going to show the open web browser twice. So it's going to open the web browser twice. And then it's going to sleep for 2 seconds. It's going to go through this whole thing again. And we should see already seen this one get printed 5 times, because we've already seen those five NFTs. So we click go. Open web browser twice. There's our 5, and then in 2 seconds we'll see another 5, and in 2 seconds we'll see another 5. So every 2 seconds it's checking the 5 latest ones. So if somebody, while we're doing this, posts a degenerate trash panda up for sale, that will show. Like, we've checked this. We've got another one that we've checked, and we would have opened a web browser if it fit. Now, we're going to do it this way. The quick and dirty method for it to get it to stop, because we do want it to stop, is while I have it clicked in the terminal, I've got my mouse clicked in here, I'll push Control C. That's just a keyboard interrupt to stop it from doing that. But essentially, I will get rid of this. I'll go back to our web browser. And this is in 36 lines of code. I could clean it up and make it even smaller. But we're looking at degenerate trash pandas. We're looking for the latest 5 listings. And our price goal is 7.5, and it will run every 2 seconds. We'll probably change that. I would change that easily to probably even 30 seconds would be more than fine. Nobody is sniping degenerate trash pandas off the floor.
Not yet.
There we go. It works.
Cool.
Super simple. There's lots of stuff in here that is like, oh, this kind of works. This kind, like, I'm not quite sure. Most of the time, my thought is, you know what, just copy and paste something from somewhere and post it in and see if it works. If it doesn't work, search the error up on Google and figure out what does work. And then keep trying. But this is a functional bot program, and this simple program is similar to the things that I use when I know a particular set is going to be looking for something like, oh, I know that people. So one of the things that I've done with this is I've set this for those people that accidentally price their NFTs really low and they didn't mean to. Or they didn't notice, or they didn't know what the floor price was, or they missed a decimal, or who knows what. I've used a program like this to check various collections to see when that happens, and then potentially buy it if necessary.
Any huge wins?
What's that?
Any huge wins?
Any huge wins? Well, I think the last champion I purchased from the Solar Sentinels was priced at 1.075. I'm pretty sure they wanted to price it at 10.75.
It
I'm
just seems to me like if you can't put enough time and effort into putting the right number,
Yep.
then you don't deserve to have it in the first place. Like, come on now. Like, that's an important step.
Yep, that is a very important step. Always check twice. This is your
Double
money.
check. Double
Double
check, man.
check, double check, double check. But yeah, that's essentially the program. That's really all it is. We've got our simple while loop, and it's so simple and it's quick and dirty because one will always equal one. So it's going to keep running until you say stop running. Then we have for token in data. So we're doing our for loop. We're counting through each of those. We've got a couple of if statements, and we've got our array. So this is basically our things of our previously checked ones. And what that does is it just speeds up the program and stops us from opening up multiple web browser windows for the same thing. That's basically all it does. There we go. It's pretty simple.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Can't wait for the next one.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. The traits.
Oh, the traits is so good because there are bots that exist now, right? Like soul rarity, the rare keys that they have out. I think they're priced around 20 soul or something like that. And those are really neat the way that they do that. So they work off the soul rarity system. And what they have is like if you have access to that particular aspect of the server because of your NFT, uh, you can it will show you like price alerts like, oh, this epic from this collection was placed at floor price, and then somebody can literally just click the snipe button and it will start the buying process for you straight off the blockchain. It'll even bypass Magic Eden. You can
Damn,
do that
that's
type of stuff.
convenient.
It's really really convenient the way that they do that. But the problem is that they connect it to soul rarity. And more we are seeing NFTs and collections where soul rarity's like just statistical rarity function isn't relevant. Like it's not about like all of the traits. There's always
Right.
like one or two traits that matter more than everything else.
Well, and there's also some collections, probably most collections, there are aesthetic looking art
Yeah,
that doesn't it may not even have traits,
right.
right? So like some of the best looking in the apes or the pandas maybe argued the ones without traits, just the completely naked ones.
Well, like when this set first came out, this soulful set, I was looking at like they have a bunch of like kind of like bases, and you can see them here. You have like the moon head, you have the pointy nose, you have the standard, but then you had these ones which were called the soul seeker heads. A lot of people before the mint were talking about how much they loved this art style, and I agree. I think this is gorgeous. And then you could see right after mint when the price started to skyrocket, these were being bought more than anything else, and they were being bought at a premium. And that was kind of my prediction. I thought that this art was gorgeous, and it was striking enough that I could see why people would want that. And so I had my bot running, and anytime one of these soul seekers was posted for sale, I bought. Or posted for sale under a certain price, I bought and then relisted it, and made like one soul. And so in like a couple of hours, I made like 3 soul just buying and selling these ones because I knew that
Right.
the art was striking enough, and was able to figure out what's coveted and go from there. Yeah, Stanley. So there's lots that you can do. You just have to kind of know what you're looking for because most bots are only going to be looking for the bare bones basic, like what's on the floor, and is it statistically rare. But for things like I'm looking for a particular trait and I know what the floor of that trait is. So like if we go to the trash pandas, right? Like my favorite trait on the trash pandas has got to be in the head, and it is the where is the pirate hat? It's like
Pirate hat.
I love the pirate hat. I just think it's so striking.
Check actually go to the body and check out the because there's a few that have both. They have both the
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, there he is, the black one on the bottom right.
yeah. Oh, this one here?
Actually, no, not that one, not that
Not
one.
that one. Not that one. Okay.
Black one bottom
Oh,
right.
this.
That one.
Oh.
Yeah, that one's got the
Ooh.
admiral and the pirate hat. That one's
That-
expensive.
that's a little
Yeah,
pricey for me.
yeah,
Maybe
yep.
maybe if Soul drops another 90%, I
Yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah. So it gets down to $5. I'm buying that.
That matching trade because I was looking at the floor price one earlier today with the black turtleneck. I'm like
hmm
that's still pretty good. That's still
hmm
pretty good.
I like that one. I
Yeah.
like that one. Steve Jobs pirate.
But you can see like this isn't floor price, right? Like even seven, like I because I've been watching these for a while. There were two posted for six, and I was watching in the Degenerate Trash Pandas Discord, and they were talking about like, oh wow, somebody picked those up for a steal. But like the floor is like 10, and then 10 is like the second lowest for the floor on this one. So I know that that's a more coveted trait. You can probably sell it at a premium. So this isn't going to be showing up because the floor price is 5.8. Those soul rarity bots aren't going to see that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And the thing too is, especially for most of the degens, there's a lot of undesirable traits. Like just some traits that just don't look good. Like for instance, and I guess it's, art. I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
But for instance, look at that green one on the bottom right. Well,
Oh, green one on the
it's all
bottom
good.
right.
It's all good. Yeah, yeah, right there. The green one on the bottom right.
Yeah.
I just don't like those glasses. I don't think they look good. I think it
That's
takes
fair. Yeah.
want to see because you can't see the raccoon's markings. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
that's one of the best parts about it.
Yeah. So yeah, I if I could design one, I don't know. Like the hockey pads strike me just because I'm Canadian.
I like the hockey pads. Yep.
but I do like the Degen service polo this
Hmm.
year. I
Hmm.
keep looking at those ones.
And here's the thing about certain traits too. In the instance of the McDegens, there is a separate server. There's a separate DAO. Oh well, they call themselves a DAO. There's a separate Discord server. Maybe one day it will be a DAO,
Discord
but
DAO, got it.
you can only get access to it if you have uh some sort of Degen NFT that has a McDegens asset. So it could be the hat, it could be there's three assets. It's the hat, the shirt, and then also the trash bag that you actually see on that purple one right there.
Yeah, yeah,
And then for the other Degens, the Degen apes, I think there's just a hat and a polo.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, but there's so much that you can do. So yeah, like I've done. Let me go here, and it's fun. Like when you know a collection, and you don't have to know it super well. You just have to know it enough to kind of know what you're looking for. So this is the one that I've made I think 20 soul off of in the last week as a result.
Wow.
And you can see here, like if I go, the only trait that matters in all of these, like there's a whole bunch of different traits. The only one that matters is the crest, because that's related to the rewards that you get. And you can see like the champion is clearly the number one. It's a floor price
Hmm.
of 9, and I bought and sold 3 of them now. And so like I bought them for floor price and then just repriced them back up to the floor price of what they're actually worth, and then
Yep.
sold them and made a bunch doing that. And
There's
it's
some money to be made.
and what's fun about that too is like if you because I kind of like I passively watch a Discord just to see what people say about those things, and I love watching people be like, oh my goodness, somebody sold this one for floor price, I can't believe it. And 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 I don't have the heart to say like, yeah, I've picked up the last 3. Like, they think it's 3 different people that got
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
no, that's me.
Me. That's my bot. That's my programming
Yeah,
bot.
please don't look at the wallet address that bought those. Who is scraping your floor and reselling for a profit. Yeah. So yeah,
Good stuff.
that's been my method of making money in this space, is just knowing the product a little bit better and then being able to see the product before anyone else and then buying it.
Solid method.
Yep.
Solid method.
It's been successful for me thus far. But yeah, if anybody has any questions or whatever, just shoot me a DM. I don't mind at all. And yeah, I'm gonna record this one. I'll probably record tomorrow's too. Hey, just in case there's like different questions or whatever. That might be good.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Tomorrow.